already into the draft. The question I was going to ask was, do we think that this was a one-off week for G2, or do we think that they are back together?
I think they're definitely back together, but I think you also have to look at the losses they did take. It was against what was then Rising Lotus, who has proven to be a team that can take games off of top teams, and Mousesports when Mousesports was looking dominant. So I think it's really just their poor performance the first 2 weeks was just a symptom of the top 4 teams in Europe all being so evenly matched now.
Yeah, and I think, with how they played against, they played Dynasty, Fnatic, and SK, and G2 performed pretty well against all 3 teams. So I think this is definitely a resurgence, and we're going to see a top performance for them today. Okay. So looking at this draft here, Baron is open, Grumpjaw is open, Lyra is picked, but Grumpjaw is open here, potentially. And normally, G2 has banned Grumpjaw almost every single time. They banned him 5 out of the 8 past matches based on the draft history here. So it's interesting that Grumpjaw did not come out and Baptiste is banned instead. Fnatic's going to go ahead and put Techno on that BF, which is a smart move because he's very strong on Blackfeather.
I've got to say, Blackfeather has become it's kind of sneaking in as one of these most picked heroes in the game now. We're seeing it almost every draft.
Yeah, it's actually a very common pick, and in Europe, it actually is up there with the win rates as well. One of the higher win rates for the European Vainglory8 as well. I'm just kind of flabbergasted a little bit here that both Baron and Grumpjaw have now gotten through the first 2 picks. Grumpjaw, not as surprising. We've seen a lot of teams kind of moving away from the Grumpjaw, but the fact that Baron is still available this deep into the draft, finally going to get taken off the board here with the second and final ban for G2.
Especially with Hundor as well. We know how much Hundor loves to go for that Baron, but it's very clear to me that none of these teams want to first pick Baron. It's too easily dealt with if you go for that as a first pick. The enemy can build that entire composition around it. Arden going to be the lock-in here for Fnatic though. Suijay, what are you expecting here from G2?
Yeah, for G2 on B side, normally they have, Samuel with Lyra is a good combination. They also have played Glaive. They might opt for a Glaive weapon lane here against a Blackfeather instead of picking like a Squishy. But we do have Vox, so Vox will probably be picked up, and Vox is picked up here. And it will probably go with a Samuel composition here, most likely. Samuel, Vox, Lyra, just a very meta composition, very strong for the teams. And it's really good to kite and focus the damage on a Blackfeather that's diving along with Arden and get that AoE splash damage. And I think Fnatic may counter with a Scarf pick in jungle if G2 picks the Samuel here.
Yeah, it's Samuel, a pick that they've played a couple of times on G2. It's only 2 games that they've run it on thus far, so not many of their picks have a lot of appearances. Really, Lance and Grumpjaw are like their 2 most played with 4 games each, so when you don't play nearly as many games, you end up with a bit more variety in your hero picks. But it will be that Samuel, and I think a Scarf would make a lot of sense for Fnatic.
Yeah, very solid meta pick coming through for G2, and you mentioned the Scarf for Fnatic. We've already seen how much Palmatoro is willing to pick that one up. I believe he was the first one this season to pick up a Scarf in the Vainglory8. It's something we've seen him play multiple times now, and to great effect. And also, Scarf in general has actually been very successful.
They're going to CP Blackfeather and do a weapon power Idris. So this is kind of risky because we have Samuel and you have Lyra, Bulwark, and you have Vox, who's even with Idris, I would say, late game. But Idris needs to get onto that Vox and that poison shield, and Vox is pretty mobile. So it's going to come down to who's going to outplay who. But I think G2 has the better draft here.
Yeah, Fnatic, this is their first time that they will be running Idris this season. Their Blackfeather does not have a very good record. It's sitting at about a 33% win rate for them after 6 games. So it's not really a pick that I'm terribly confident in Fnatic on.
All right, well, we'll see if they can kind of usurp those statistics and turn everything onto its head. What are the play styles going to have to be coming in for these teams? What are the win conditions here, Suijay?
Well, Lyra Samuel is extremely strong. It's going to win jungle early against a CP Blackfeather Arden for sure. So Mouse needs to, G2 needs to push the early game and then basically snowball. And Lyra is very good into Arden. She can cancel and disable the Vanguard and Idris' abilities actually when they're in the bulwark. So they need to engage hard on Idris and not let him get the barrier. So G2 is going to take this game, I feel.
So all about G2 being proactive.
Yeah, G2, well, they don't even have to be proactive. They can be very reactive as well. I mean, the composition of Fnatic, they want to engage. With Arden, Idris, you want to be trying to jump in. You've used Blackfeather for a little bit of poke with the chakrams as well from Idris, but then it's all about diving in hard, Gauntlet, jump in with Idris, jump in with the Black Feather, do as much as you can. But the side of G2 has really good counter engage.
Okay, so it's going to be a lot about how these fights go and how these two teams are going to be able to play these ones out. Let us know who you're going to be supporting. This is definitely my match of the week for Europe. G2 up against Fnatic. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Get in touch, but it's time to jump on into this third quarterfinal of the day.
What a wonderful day for some European Vainglory8. Xingyi, we have G2 Esports up against Fnatic, a pretty classic matchup here.
The wondrous day, and it's a rematch of last week's semi-final as well. And that was a pretty close one for the two teams. And, I think there's a lot of kind of questions looking at G2, like, is this the G2 that we're used to and we love so much? And I'm thinking, looking at the competition, I think there's a very good chance of G2 just back on form today.
G2 back on form. I mean, Fnatic, I thought this season they were going to just really turn it up because they were supposed to not have school and they had some other things going on and said they were supposed to be focusing down. But yeah, they've been a little unsteady. We'll see how they're going to do up against this G2 squad. Dark Potato and Keanu are here. Drifting Dark is out. Mouse will connect onto net, not the Verdict. Mouse and Verdict whiffing again. Who's going to get the front? A big battle for that one front minion there. And up in the lane, just pretty chill, back and forth. Hundor and Tetno just doing their thing.
Yeah, this contest for that Treant there.
This is GG for Keanu. He should be dead here.
He
All
is
of
dead.
a sudden, Fnatic are just like, hey, I'm just going to on point, jump forward, and get a Vanguard, and Dark Potato's dead as well. Oh!
That
Dark Potato!
That front minion was worth it. It wasn't.
That was not worth it.
It really wasn't worth it. I mean, to be honest, Fnatic, they're not going to get too much of it. They're going to get the Elder Treant. It's going to give it some nice healing for Palmator and a little bit of gold. But apart from that, G2, they maintain control of jungle. I think they just kind of overstayed their welcome, try to see the Elder Treant in a full view of Fnatic, and they're just taking a little bit too much damage from it. So, probably not the best idea there. But
It's a bad idea.
yeah, it was a pretty bad idea, actually. But I think in terms of like jungle and lane, I'm expecting a fairly... Well, I'm not gonna say passive because we've already had 2 kills at this point. But in terms of like going for those very aggressive kills, I'm not expecting too much there. I mean, for Palmator and Netflix, you just kind of want them to be focusing on farming at this point, really.
Tetno dropping, but Dark Potato. The Potato is in his Drifting Dark. Mouse and Verdict doing good work on the net. But Palmator on the front side of that fight is quite healthy. Keanu and Dark Potato thinking about moving forward into the jungle of Fnatic, but this feels a bit dangerous, to be honest. And, well, Hundor is pushing the lane in, so they're going to have to react to that.
Sorry.
No! Palma stole that! Palma stole it! Jumps in with the Fatal Heart! He's like, yo, Potato! You are our Potato! He's going to drop him down into the dirt where you belong, you Potato boy. Keanu gets hit there. Palma, double man on point. Who is this guy? What is this? Just amazing. He's playing like he's from NA. Another double on point landing.
I mean, 3 kills in the jungle. I mean, Palmator and Netflix just picking up 3 kills between them. I feel like G2, they're just kind of underestimating the damage coming up from Palmator. So although they do have Keanu there with that heal, they're just...
Yo, they're about to plant Potato in the dirt one more time. Are you serious? Palmator moved forward. 2-0 and 2 Palmatoro. And the jungle will be getting in quite intense here about 7 seconds from now. And that should mean that Fnatic need to get themselves out of here. Keanu low on energy, low on health. Fnatic gonna just hang on net, just gonna pour it out in that brush, give a little vision for his team. Fnatic, this is a pretty good first 4 minutes.
I'm looking at this jungle matchup, and I feel that Dark Potato and Keanu should really be winning these little trade-offs. But Palmator, he's just avoiding those massive verdicts very well, and I feel like those on points are really catching the members of Dark Potato and Dark Potato and Keanu out, and it's just actually doing a lot of damage there with the execute there, and it is a bit surprising. It's given them a very slow but nice 1.2k gold lead at 4 minutes. 4 minutes there, and to be honest, all the focus here so far we're seeing is down in the jungle. There's not too much happening in lane. This is great for Tetno JJ because it allows him just to farm up very slowly, and he can just do so safely without any pressure coming from the jungle.
We'll see what happens here in the next few minutes. Dark Potato, do you think he goes for Frostburn first? We've seen that a lot.
I think Frostburn would work, especially with Techno JJ there. Once he gets to his kind of full weapon build there, he is able to get on top of them, and having that Malice and Verdict slowing him down would really go a long way. But G2, they're turning their aggression around.
Dark Potatoes moving forward in the drifting dark. Mouse and Verdict connecting, but so does the on point from Palmatoro right onto the Potatoes. So the Chakram cutting through G2 Esports as they're having a tough time holding the ground now. Hundor is the one who's been doing okay. Let's see. I cursed him down. Ooh, if that on point hit, you know he would have been dead. But he's going to be okay here, able to get out. That was a pretty scary spot to be in. And Palmatoro moves in, looking for the mid. Just spawns up. He's going to try and take the mid away from Potato over here.
I think he's probably going to get the... No, he doesn't.
Potato!
Jinxed him. But Fnatic, they've done a lot of damage onto the turret so far, and I think a lot of it is just that defensive-wise, Palmatoro, he's got a lot of crystal power there, and every single on point he's hitting, he is managing to land as well. So it's taking a lot of emphasis away from G2's damage. Kian is being forced to use his sigils up very, very regularly just to try and maintain, just keep his teammates alive. And I think the Hundor Techno JJ match, I think the last fight we saw Hundor being a little bit over aggressive, extending a little bit too much there, just being a little bit too far forward. But G2, I feel like Dark Potato, he's got a lot of damage, and he's got that Frostburn now. Not really seeing, I don't know, I feel like G2 just seem a little bit off so far.
They feel a little off. I feel like Fnatic also feel very on right now, Jinyi.
That is true. They are on point. Yes.
One could say. Now G2, while they're behind, it's about 1.3, 1.2k. They're doing okay, Like they're behind, but they can easily, catch someone out, find the team fight. Now Palma's gonna take the mid away, Rose offensive over the wall, activate his boots, and he's like, "Yo, peace, I'm out of here. I just took your mids. Do something."
Feels bad. I mean, 31 to Dark Potato 31 as well, so he's staying relatively on par despite how often he's going into the jungle with Dark Potato.
Jumps in, big sleep coming out. That's gonna protect the Potato. And Techno, you have overstayed your welcome, my friend. Hundor chasing forward, Sonic Zoom. Not gonna be enough to take Palmatoro down. Net had to use his fountain there. Sad to see your ally go down when you're just doing your best to keep him alive. Net will be getting that gauntlet quite soon as he's going to try and defend here. Soak up a couple Malice and Verdicts, but this turret taking a lot of damage. Palma's up here on point, taking out some lane minions, but not going to do any damage. Taking it forward, he moves forward. Goes defensive back out. Now Techno's made his way back out from lane. There's your gauntlets down. They're going to stun up Lyra on edge. Hundor, nowhere to go. It is a horror story. They've traded Net, and let's see if they hang around. Potato, bro, what's the... Yeah, Techno just jumps forward and just finds the kill. It's like they completely disrespected the damage output on the Sidrus.
A fair trade-off. Dark Potato's the only one left alive. He's able to pick up the kill there onto Keanu and Hundor. And Techno JJ, he's looking very comfortable. We're seeing that Idris just coming online right now. But from precarious position, I like the gauntlet coming out from Net It was caught Keanu and Dark Potato. Wait, Keanu and Hundor out. I mean, there is no reflex block there on that Fox, so he isn't able to escape. And I feel like Net just really took advantage of that.
Oh, he definitely did. Net a god. Arden, he is absolutely just a beast mode. He bit down and he just activates the reflex and buys the crucible. It's just basically, I mean, he's using charms that don't even exist. This guy is just really a player. Next level.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is. But that crucible, they needed that crucible. Oblivion caught Techno JJ out under turret last time, so this time that is exactly what they'll be using it for, to prevent that Oblivion from happening and sending the members of Fnatic to sleep. But that turret is looking very low, and I feel like Fnatic made one last final push. Is a good opportunity for them to see that turret down, just even up. I mean, Fnatic, they're 100 gold, actually they're 100 behind now in G2. It's a very, very close game so far, despite the kill scoreboard of 6-2 to Fnatic.
Oh, Dark Potato's getting just roasted right now. Fnatic. Oh my god, if I was Dark Potato, I'd be like, please team, can we just go to the next game already? I'm done here. Chakram just ripping apart the Samuel, the on point connecting, doing so much work. Not as much work to Kiana, but Dark Potato just getting melted. And he has some light shield, but he really needs to build into his offense. Like, the Broken Myth needs to come out, man.
It really does, and I'm glad that he's just backed away from the G2's jungle, because he was just I felt uncomfortable watching that separation between him and the rest of the team with G2 sitting between him. G2 missing a really good defense against that turret there. They know that falls. It's going to swing that lead towards Fnatic. And I think in terms of looking at farm right now, everyone's very, very equal in how they're doing so far. But Broken Myth, that is needed for both Samuel and Palmatoro as well.
Yeah, I feel like we see a lot of Samuels actually go away from Broken Myth on their second item. Like, we see a lot of Eve of Harvest.
Yeah.
I mean, it is game dependent, of course, but I don't know. Just my opinion, I do think the Broken Myth very important in his kit as the second item. It just increases his damage output so much. Drifting Arc's down. Malice and Verdict are going to start to come out with 309 damage from the on point. Dark Potato get back in there. Potato's like, yo, I'll just stand here drifting Dark Potato. Gauntlet from the God. Netflix finds the stun. They find the kill. They're on to Hundor now. Fnatic, like a swarm of bees, descending down upon Hundor. And then on to Keanu Nakoa. Nowhere is safe. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Ace comes out for Fnatic. They're jugglers as well, as they just show us how to juggle that turret aggro, take the turret down, and we'll now move in for the cherry on top, the gold miner. Fnatic just completely dismantling G2 Esports.
Completely dismantling. It was a absolutely godlike gauntlet coming out from there from Netflix. I think it's done 2 members of them out. I mean, Dark Potato and Hundor. This is the second time that gauntlet's been thrown down, and there is still no reflex block out. They're prioritizing damage over defense at this point, and I feel like with Arden there, you want that reflex block as early as possible just to prevent those situations from happening, because I feel like that gauntlet was the main key player in that team fight, allowing Fnatic to pick up the ace there.
You know, people are always like, oh yeah, well, you can just reflex through Crucible, you can Arcane Passage through the gauntlet. It's pretty hard to deal with when it gets dropped right on your head.
I mean, yeah, it is true, but that's already happened once for them. Positionally, you want them to be able to disengage because it was very close to the turret. If they're able to back onto the turret in time, then that'll leave them in a much safer position. And yes, they do have a lot of defense, but if you're caught in that gauntlet, you do not want to be right in range with an Idris and with a Crystal Blackfeather as well.
Alright, let's see if they can keep at range here. It's so hard for the box. Gets in range. He starts to kind of dance around. Now he has Breaking Point. Now this is a big pickup. You can see he started to stack up that Breaking Point very fast. And he starts to regen, getting a little bit of that lifesteal back. So that's very good for Hundor at this point. This could actually be a game-changing pickup if they do not get burst down, if they don't allow themselves to take a whole bunch of damage before they can get onto a target.
Definitely. Hundor, his mechanical skill on that Vox is just, I think, one of the best in Europe. And there's going to be a lot of focus being played on if they can get down Hundor or not, or if they're able to separate him and isolate him away from the rest of the team. But right now, G2, they've been playing very defensively, and I think this is what they need to be doing. Just allowing them to farm up and just focus on just defending that second turret.
Our Samuel went for the Eve of Harvest. I'm ready to be proven wrong, but it just... I don't know. I don't know about it. It doesn't feel right. Oh, an Arcane Passage in! Keanu trying to make some plays. Bright Bulwark is down, but the Crystal Sentry is as well. Hundor needs to get on target. A couple Breaking Points starting to stack up. Idris actually finds the kill onto Keanu, and now the chase is on. Techno is on to Dark Potato. Dark Potato's dead. Hundor doing his best. He's like, yo, team, I'm doing my best. Oh, he gets the double kill. His best is not enough. Triple kill for the Idris, double kill for the Vox. In the end, Fnatic coming out on top.
I think it's gonna be this is a game that's gonna come down to like a Techno JJ versus Hundor situation every single time. It was really okay. So I'm just gonna start from the start of that team fight. So Keanu and Nakoa could recognize that they're all around the minion miner, the Crystal Sentry. Just good old throwback there to the good old times.
Yeah.
Portaled in. He portaled in. And I think that was a little bit. I think it kind of caught the rest of his teammates by surprise because it took them a while to catch up. And by the time they caught up, it left Keanu in a very awkward position because they were able to we saw Fnatic focusing a lot on G2. But Hundor, like you said, was able to stack up very quickly in the Breaking Point stacks. They were able to pick up 2 kills. So 2 for 3 trade, which wasn't bad for G2. And it does show how quickly Palmatoro can go down if they are able to focus on him. But I think there was a little bit scrappy coming out from G2. But they were able to turn it around, so it was not as bad as it could have been because Techno JJ wasn't able to do too much apart from that one turret. It would have been a lot worse situation.
It's just like the most depressing thing as a Samuel when you get isolated away from your team. You're trying to kite backwards, and there's like an Idris just latched onto you like some little leech, and you just know nobody can peel for you. You know you're gonna die. I feel like they need to do a little bit more to keep Potato alive through these fights. Maybe that's why he went for the Eve. Crystal Infusion will be coming out here for our Black Feather. Palmatoro ready to get some work done. Level 11 Weapon Infusion on Techno as well. 6-1 and 2 on his Idris. And Kraken is now out on the map, so just honestly, like one amazing team fight, Fnatic could end this game.
They really could. They've done really well to take it down to the last 3 turrets there. Choke point tower still standing. And, you know, it's interesting. We've seen this trade in power. So at the start of the game, it was all about Palmatoro. He was the one picking up the kills there in that jungle as the Crystal Blackfeather. But now it's all about this weapon Idris. Techno JJ just picking up those triples. And this could be another team fight that's about to break out.
Okay, he's in Drifting Dark, hit 3 Malice and Vertex, and there's the Gauntlet! It's going to come right in! Dark Potato taking a lot of damage, trying to kite back, he's down, Eva Harvest didn't do enough to keep him alive, and Hundor, he's on the run! He could use the Vanguard, but it's not him getting the Vanguard, it's Fnatic getting the Vanguards, getting the heals, Kiana and Nukoa, an on point and a double kill coming in for the Idris Techno JJ. Oh, just unbelievable stuff. Fnatic, if you're a Fnatic fan, probably about the time in chat you want to start letting people know.
I think they should have been letting them know a long time ago. 15 and 4. You see, this is the thing about that Idris. The mobility coming out from his skills, it was just outstripping the Vox. Vox was using the Sonic Zoom, the Resonance. He was doing everything. He was kiting so well as that weapon Vox. You know, Hundor is extremely skilled at it. But Techno JJ using his Shimmer Trick just to latch on. There was just very little escape there.
But in the beginning, the point before that happened, I was trying to say, Dark Potato, he was in Drifting Dark. He hit Malice and Verdict, then off cooldown, then hit Malice and Verdict, and then hit Malice, and it splashed onto 2 targets, and they didn't take barely any damage. Like and this is nothing against Potato. I absolutely love Dark Potato. He's an amazing guy. This is not about his playstyle or anything like that. It's just saying that Samuel's not having that damage output this game.
He is not. Maybe we have to consider. Maybe it is. Maybe he should have gone for the Broken Myth. It's not about the sustain. We are seeing the members of G2 falling very quickly, especially Dark Potato. I mean, you look at the score: 0, 6, and 4. His KDA. It is showing that Fnatic are focusing on Dark Potato every single time, and it's interesting because Hunter is the one with the breaking point. He's the one that scales so well off the damage, but they're isolating Dark Potato every single time, and maybe that's the thing about the Lyra as well, is that she's not able to peel as comfortably as that Arden is for her teammates.
Oh, she really isn't. Right now, we're not seeing peels. If anything, Keanu, the only thing he's doing really comfortably is potentially engaging and throwing out his sigils. This is a very tough position for G2 to be in. They have 1 turret remaining, and this game is just on a nice edge. Just completely going against them. It feels like not even what was curious as our analysts were talking about is like G2 last week felt like, oh, it's like G2's back, but this doesn't feel like that at all.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that at all. I think there was a potential because we do see them playing their comfort picks, but Fnatic, they are so switched on today.
Ooh, I'm turned on. They're switched on. Let's go, Fnatic, hanging out here. They had superior positioning. I actually kind of wish Palmatoro wouldn't have moved forward with the on point because it looked like G2 were going to move forward without flaring that brush, but maybe they wouldn't have. Yeah. It's all good in the end.
I think the issue is right now is what they're worrying for G2 is that Dark Potato and Kiana do not have enough gold to infuse, whereas all 3 members of Fnatic have their infusions ready. I mean, that's why it's on a level of an infusion, but all 3 of them are infused. Their damage is going to be outstripping Fnatic, and it's considering that they also have a 4k gold lead as well. It's not a comfortable position for G2 to be in. And what you really want is just going to be poking away. Dark Potato still doesn't have that Broken Myth yet, so I think I'm just trying to think about how they're gonna win this, and I feel like if they can catch them out with an Oblivion, but Netwilt's been doing such a good job with the Crucible and blocking that every single time as well.
Yeah, and the last one didn't even hit them. He didn't have to Crucible it, unfortunately, for G2. Now you're hanging around. On point is building up Broken Myth stacks here for Palmatoro. I mean, he might pull the trigger and just go, yeah, there you go. There's your War Chest. They're on the Hundor. They got the Abyss Pauldron off onto the Vox, so if it was already hard, it's a little bit harder. Trading a lot of damage out here on the Palmatoro, but they cannot take him down. The Fountain keeps him alive. Net Toilette playing like an absolute monster, keeping his teammates alive. Dark Potato stays alive through this fight with Keanu. In pretty good health, but Dark Potato doesn't have a ton of energy. Let's see if he can use that Corrupted Genius, get a little bit back here. But Fnatic have the superior positioning. Dark Potato starting to build. Potato, no. Watching? They're trying to cancel off his port, and on the backside, they're just going to push this in. Palmatoro and Techno, and let's see, Net Toilette, the legend! He just buys so much time for his team. In the end, Keanu gets back, though. And Dark Potato will eventually get back as well. Palmatoro over the top side. And Fnatic able to close this one out. A little bit cheeky at the end. Wish we had some charms coming out of these guys. 16-5, 20 minutes in. This game was all Fnatic.
This game was all Fnatic, and at the end, I really liked what G2 did. We saw Keanu using that minion candy on the Crystal Sentry at the end, and it was really doing a lot of work. It did force Fnatic just to back off, but instead of forcing to go back to base, just forcing to go for that last turret, and finally the Crystal closing out the game in a very exciting finish.
And that was a pretty crazy game. I gotta know, like, I hope these guys at the desk will break it down. Like, what happened? Why did Samuel fall so flat this game? Munch, guys, break it down for us.
What happened? Indeed, G2 are in dire straits right now. They have to win this series to get themselves safe from challenge battles. And Fnatic took that first game. It seemed easy to them.
Yeah, it looked really, really strong. Right off the bat, Fnatic going all in on trying to find these kills. And they were able to get Palmatoro very far ahead in the jungle.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, what went wrong for G2? How come they weren't able to contest at all? Because compositionally, it looked pretty even.
Yeah, it's how they're engaging into itemization. I feel like Samuel needed to get Broken Myth because by the time he had a Piercing Star, they already had Aegis on the other team. So his build was a little suspect. Also, the way he was engaging, he was using Drifting Dark to engage. So as soon as Drifting Dark was down, Fnatic would engage. Like, they had really great gauntlets on top of Samuel to really disable him once his Drifting Dark was down. And they played to their win conditions. Fnatic played really well in a lot of these fights and played to their win conditions. And also Keanu at the Sentry of G2, Portal engaged and there was no immediate follow-up. And Lyra just blew up in like 3 seconds. I mean, Idris, everyone just focused Lyra and Keanu died immediately. So I feel like the synergy is lacking, the communication is lacking from the side of G2. And something with Samuel today in EU, man. These Drifting Darks have been really, really, they need improvement for sure.
Okay, so we'll see if they can pick it up. Like, what's wrong with the Drifting Darks? Like, how does, for the viewers at home that wanted to improve themselves, how do they need to, like, what is the ideal Drifting Dark?
Yeah, you want to basically, with Samuel, you can poke with your Madison Verdict, get some stacks, and then when they engage you, you want to then Drifting Dark immediately to then counter to engage, or when you have a lot of stacks, right, then Drifting Dark and then basically try to blow them up and kill them and then dive with your team. For the Drifting Dark that they use, it was in the wrong position, the wrong angle. They would then dive or gauntlet on top of him. I mean, it was just not the right timing. Drifting Dark is all about decision making and the timing of the Drifting Dark, and I felt like a lot of times it wasn't used appropriately.
Yeah, there's also the angle you throw the Drifting Dark on. Throughout these replay packages, we've seen at least 2 or 3 times now where the Drifting Dark comes out down by that item shop in the middle of the map, and when throw the Drifting Dark down. Like, you're only going to be able to get one Malice and Verdict thrown off while standing in the Drifting Dark from that angle, but there's still really good plays by the side of Fnatic to really limit what Samuel was able to do. A lot of times, like Sweet just said, once the Drifting Dark came out, Gauntlet so frequently came out immediately afterwards to say, cool, you just threw that out now you're stuck here and you can't move with it. That severely limits the Samuel's damage output.
Yeah, and you can see 16, 5, 26. And I realize I'm pointing. You guys, it's on your screen. That's the combined KDA for Fnatic this series, which, that game alone, which is a very impressive scoreline.
Yeah, you can see in that very last replay, when they engage on Hundor, Samuel should have Drifting Dark immediately. And that's where you have to use your abilities to counter whatever the engage is to then counter engage. He uses ultimate right away, and just Drifting Dark came out too late. By the time Hundor was pretty much almost dead. So I feel like G2 needs to be playing more strategically.
Yep.
They need to play to their win condition for sure.
So I want to talk a little bit about Fnatic as well, because Fnatic, we were saying before the game, this is a team that likes to play passive, likes to play reactively. This game was very much the opposite end of the scale. Right from the word go, they were invading the jungle, they were making moves and like taking the lead by both hands and putting it in their court. Like, where's this new Fnatic come from?
I mean, this is what we've been wanting to see from them. They've been drafting this more aggressive style, and now if they're going to start playing this more aggressive style, this is going to become a very scary Fnatic team that a lot of the other European squads will have difficulty dealing with. So hopefully for Fnatic, it wasn't just a one-time deal. Hopefully they are going to start playing this more aggressive early game playstyle. And, well, they really liked that Black Feather pick. It worked so well. Why not grab it again? First pick, though, Not sure if that's really worthy of that first slot.
They're really confident in it, so G2 should take Lyra and ban away that Arden. Do not give Fnatic that Arden combination with the Black Feather or whatever melee laner that wants to dive on their carry. So if I were G2, that's exactly what you should do. They should take away that Arden, because last game they banned Baptiste and Baron, and I feel like take Lyra, ban Arden, and then take Baron if Fnatic doesn't ban it. So let's see what G2 decides here with their draft. And Keanu Oko, like, I feel like Lyra wasn't his strongest hero. He's much stronger on like Catherine, Lance, so maybe they might switch this up here and not put him on the Lyra. And instead, they're actually going to take away the Arden so that Fnatic doesn't get that combination. So if they take Arden, they need to ban Lyra here because you don't want to give a team a CP Blackfeather Lyra combination.
Yeah, Arden is actually the most picked hero for NetToilet as well. So taking away that comfort pick from their opponent and going to ban away the Lyra as well. And then Baron going to be the counter ban from Fnatic.
To be fair, Arden's the most picked hero for a lot of captains in Europe.
Very true.
Is by far the most picked hero in all of Europe. But the Baron ban, I think, is really smart for Fnatic. It takes away the Baron from Hundor, who we know is a phenomenal Baron player, and it's going to force the side of G2 onto something that's maybe not quite as comfortable. A lot of the other laners, they've kind of been all over the place with who they select. They are going to go for the Idris. I would love to see one of these two teams. I would really like it on the G2 comp, just what they have, go for a Grumpjaw and just build a full weapon Grumpjaw. I think that it's just so strong at the moment, and no one in Europe is really running this.
Yeah, it's very difficult to shut down if you can get that ball rolling, especially in the early game for the first few minutes of the game. If you just get 1 or 2 kills, it's very difficult to deal with that damage coming out. Baptiste, though, going to be locked in for Fnatic, which, that could be a captain, or it could go in that jungle role and send Blackfeather to lane.
And if they want to counter Idris hard, they should pick Catherine here, but they could go for maybe potentially Finn, but Catherine would make a lot of sense with Baptiste here, because that stun along with Baptiste CC would shut down Idris like completely, because Catherine is such a good counter into Idris. So let's see what Fnatic decides, because all the options, there's a few roamers they have. Lance makes sense, Finn makes sense, but out of all these options open, Catherine is definitely the best choice here.
So Catherine definitely open for them. And we have seen NetToilet play that Catherine in the past, I believe. So definitely available option. What would you look at for G2 to finish off the composition on their side of the board?
Even with the Baptiste there, I would love to see them grab a Grumpjaw. Weapon Grumpjaw with a Crystal Idris is massive. It does so much work that you have so much damage and you win the early jungle. That's the thing that G2 is going to have to be worried about is Fnatic was so aggressive last game. They're very likely to try and do a similar thing here. Just get that Baptiste to level 2 very quickly, use Lance to kind of distract for that to happen, and then go for an invade. So they need something that can win the early jungle.
Yeah, Lance, another one of NetToilet's top played captains.
Yeah, because Lance picked Grumpjaw may not be the best option. It could still work, though. You could still run a weapon Grumpjaw potentially. But right here, I would probably weapon power the Idris and potentially pick a CP jungle hero that's good. Like, okay, so Rhyme's going to be picked here, which is perfect into this combination, because Rhyme counters Baptiste, because he can stand his ground and fight a Baptiste and a weapon Blackfeather. So this works really well for G2.
Lance. All three of them are going to be, very short range for the side of Fnatic. So this Rhyme pick should actually pay off in spades for them.
This is going to be a bit of a brawl as well, because we've got a lot of melee across the board on both sides right now. This is going to be getting pretty messy when we come into these skirmishes.
Yeah, for sure, and that is where Rhyme excels. If you bunch up and get hit by his AoE Chill Winds, which is his root, and his Winter Spires, he's going to do a ton of damage and get a ton of fortified health. He'll be unkillable with Arden.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to try and dish out enough damage to break through that fortified health bar.
Yeah, going to be very hectic and chaotic fights. I mean, the longest range we have in this game is going to be Baptiste. And Baptiste is not very long range, so it's definitely going to be a situation where everyone's grouped up. It's going to be very messy in these fights, and whoever can, kind of control that chaos the best will be who comes out on top.
Okay, so the big question then. Do we think G2 can pull back into this series? Do they have what it takes? Do they have the right composition to get themselves back onto the board and really make an impact and go to game 3 here?
Yeah, I really love the coverage with Arden. They just got to dive in at Baptiste and just blow him up, or Blackfeather. And with Rhyme, Idris, and Arden, that's a super heavy dive competition. I think G2 should win this if they play properly.
Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely think G2 very much has a chance to do it here, to get this series tied up and go to game number 3.
Okay, so we'll see whether this Rhyme has been a stroke of genius, like my analysts seem
win rate
to
thus
think.
far.
100% win rate, that is very true.
That's
Hashtag Vainglory8 is how you can let us know what your win rate is and who you're supporting coming into this one. G2 versus Fnatic. It's time to head into the second game of this quarterfinal.
Oh, nothing like some biased analysts. Everybody going for a G2, in this game here, thinking they can come back in this series. But it's like, have they thought about it, Shinyi? Have they thought about the fact that Fnatic have Net Toilette, and how do you beat a player of this caliber?
That is a true question, but I don't know. I feel like I really do like the Rhyme pick. I feel like it is a stroke of genius, as he said, and it is going to be very difficult for Fnatic to combat this. But like you said, Net Toilette on that lance, he's going to be pulling off those impales and those stuns, and this could be a very hard time for Dark Potato. But for Hundor, who's very mobile on that Idris, maybe it's not going to be so easy. But I think it just depends on how this game is going to play out.
Hundor does have a minion candy on his person,
Cheeky.
ready to go, and we've seen, this is the third game today where we've seen that minion candy come out into the lane early on. I think Dynasty was the team that was doing it earlier. It's pretty good stuff. You get a little help balancing your lane. If you can use that effectively, it'll buy you a lot of time.
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does, and it kind of forces TechnoJJ to stay up in lane, be able to farm up as well, keep up with the farm. And it does mean it gives more. I think in terms of rotation, it gives G2 a little bit of advantage, because we're seeing right now Keanu, Dark Potato, they're rotating up. The lane is very far pushed up, and TechnoJJ, he's losing a fair bit of damage from the minions as well.
Dark Potato boosted forward. A lot of damage coming out there as Potato was level 2 and actually found the root. And, a lot of people I was looking in chat, they were talking about how Potato is much more of a kind of, he likes to play bruisers, he likes to play up in your face and make things happen. So maybe this Rhyme will work out a little better for him here.
Yeah, definitely. You can see him going right up into the face of like Net Toilette and Palmatoro, and just really focus on landing those roots every single time. He got the root there on TechnoJJ, but he was able to escape there because the rest of the Fnatic were able to rotate up in time. But we can see now at G2, they're really punishing Fnatic in the lane, really forcing TechnoJJ and Net Toilette just to right under their turret. And it's kind of forcing TechnoJJ, it's giving him such a hard time trying to keep up in terms of farm. But I like this technique. I really do like it a lot, and I'm not expecting a lot of kills coming from G2 either at the start because of the composition that they're playing. This is one that I think typically does really well in the late game. Oh, the stun! There's
your impale. The Ordain's going to be coming out onto Keanu. Bad Mojo as well. And it looks like the bad boys Fnatic are going to be able to take Keanu down. Dark Potato making his way up into the lane, but he's a little bit late to the party.
A little bit too late, and it's...
Oh, Bad Mojo! Another impale. Hundor taking a lot of damage, but the Potato's into the mix. He's out with the Shroud's Dev. Look at that beautiful plays. Potato trying to get onto Palmatoro. Doesn't quite have what it takes here, and in the end, Fnatic get out clean.
Okay, so going back to what Fnatic are doing right now, I like what they're doing, because there's a Rhyme in the jungle. It's going to take a lot to try and burst him down. So what they're doing is they're going up to the lane, applying the pressure onto the lane, because they know that Rhyme's not there. They can pick up those kills. They almost picked up 2 there, but they got 1. So we're going to be seeing a lot of emphasis placed on the lane for the
There's
first
a lot of emphasis placed on these mid right now.
Don't know who's going to get it.
Palmatoro, come on. I thought he was going to get a little more aggressive in there. No harm, no foul. That was the smart play for sure. Hang back. He was only 1 attack off boosting though. He'll be back to take his backs while the Elder Treant and the fronts are taken by G2. So a nice little jungle rotation for them.
Nice rotation indeed. And I mean, 15, he may have lost that Treant there, but 15 to 20 Dark Potatoes there. We're seeing Fnatic here coming up to the lane again, but I feel like G2, they're hanging back. They do not want to be caught out by that Ordained again. That combination of Ordained and then the Impale is very unforgiving.
Alright, it's going to be another Impale coming out. Bad Mojo as well. Ordain's going to land onto Keanu and Techno, just hitting him as much as he can. That was a nice Vanguard back, which actually pulled Techno forward as he had used that Fiend of Heart.
Yes, it did indeed. I feel like because looking just Dark Potato and Keanu, that combination is such a tanky composition. Like especially once you get into the late game, once you start getting other items, it's gonna be very, very difficult to burst him down. And actually, the same could be said for Techno JJ and Nettola as well. I feel like Palmator, he's gonna be a bit more of a glass cannon. We see all of the Baptiste going for that Shattered Glass Clockwork combination. We've got this like high damage intensity that just is up very regularly.
Alright, well, Hundar hangs around the lane while Net Toilette waits in the wings of the Mustache Brush. Dark Potato throw out his Winter Spire, look to move forward. Level 5 now. And when we get that level 6 onto the Rhyme, that's kind of a bit of a game changer for him. Having that little bit of extra stun and burst, a lot of times is enough for his team to turn these fights. But we're also looking for Palmatora to hit that ultimate himself. Fearsome Shade can completely disrupt these fights. And as Bacon was saying, you know, the longest, there's not a huge amount of range in there. That Fearsome Shade is a very long range.
That Fearsome Shade, absolutely. And I think the cooldown's fairly, but the thing is, the cooldown is fairly long. But it's certainly an item that they can use to try and peel G2 away. You know, if you sense that Rhyme is getting a little bit too close, if you're at a risk of getting that root, you just throw that Fearsome Shade out. It gives your team a chance to back away from the fight and reevaluate how the fight's going to be going if you want to engage or not.
Dark Potato, do you feel like engaging?
Yes, he does, I feel.
Or not?
No, he doesn't.
Bad Mojo's coming out, Spires come out the other way as Fnatic moves forward now. G2, they can't really pull the trigger and just take a target out unless Dark Potato's like just smack dab someone with a stun into a root potentially. But the Gauntlet plus the Rhyme is really where that control is going to come from. We're quite a ways away from having that happen.
Yeah, we are. So I think once we get that level 6 coming up from Keanu there, that we're going to be seeing a lot of opportunity. I mean, we do have Techno JJ, he is able to escape. I think there's going to be a lot of onus there onto Palmator and trying to trap him. And like you said, short range, it should be relatively easy for the members of G2 to do this. And I think if you're able to trap down that Palmator, I feel like he should be the main focus in those team fights. Because of the high mobility coming out from Blackfeather and Lance, they can be quite tricky to just pin down.
Well, we do have a big item pickup here. Dark Potato completing his Broken Myth. 6 minutes into this game, he will stack up quite a bit of damage if he's able to poke a little bit before they lock onto a target.
I definitely think so, and I feel like going back to what we're saying, we are really just waiting for for Keanu to reach that level 6 point, because if you can trap them into that gauntlet, it's very easy and it's a very comfortable position for Dark Potato to be stacking up. And I feel like Fnatic, I mean, Palmator, he's just picked up a Shattered Glass himself, so that is also a major item swing there going towards Fnatic.
It definitely is. You gotta be careful, dude. Like, if Ordained gets put out onto Keanu and then he throws Gauntlet, half the time you're gonna have those gauntlets like just canceled off. You cancel it yourself. Or if you're caught, it's hard to reposition if you can't block it. We'll see though. Right now, G2 kind of on the front foot, applying a bit of pressure here. Dark Potato throwing out his Spires, trying to build up the Broken Myth stacks a little bit. But you see, he's actually doing a pretty decent job as far as landing those. But there's just a lot of sustain on the other side. Techno and Palmator both capable of sustaining and regenerating themselves. Now there's going to be your Impale. Nothing to follow though. Cheeky little Impale.
Yeah. I feel like Dark Potato, he's throwing out a lot of those Winter Spires, but Fnatic are doing a really good job of avoiding them, so he's not actually being able to build up those Broken Myth stacks up that well. And I think throwing out that many Winter Spires is fairly energy intensive. You can see how much has hit him already. He's less than half energy in there. He only has that energy battery as well. So I think maybe once he gets a little bit more, maybe upgrading that Void battery would help him a little bit more in those just kind of poking situations.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to poke forever like that, but you're definitely right. Like, energy conservation is going to be a very important thing to pay attention to moving forward here. Techno and Net doing a good job bullying the lane. Hundor and Keanu doing their best to try and just hold this out. I mean, we're 8 minutes in. We have 1 kill. Net worth pretty even overall. These teams just really want to get their items levels before committing to these fights, but we do have the tools that we talked about before. Gauntlet is available and ready to go, so I'm quite curious to see. I mean, does G2 look to take a fight here?
You do look to take a fight, and the thing is, Palmator, if you look at his item, he's already got the reflex block. Techno JJ is able to lose offensive out. Net Toilet, once he overdrives his Githian wall, is perhaps also able to escape as well. Oh, hang on, this could be it. This could be the
yeah, so that's not good. Fearsome Shade and Dark Potato taking a lot of damage. Gauntlet's down. Dark Potato, he's trying to reposition and kites over the top. They take it out. Palmator, Dark Potato kiting backwards. He's doing the best. Oh, it's the best ram I've ever seen. Dark Potato playing like the legend that we know he is. Look at him. That was such a studly move.
It was so studly. Absolutely there. And the thing is, we saw the gauntlet. It was a really nice gauntlet, so Palmator wasn't able to reflex block out in time. Just caught right on the edge there. And I think what we saw was, oh no. Oh, Net Toilette.
Oh, Net Toilette.
He's able to escape, though.
Hundor's like, yeah, sorry, bro.
I gotta just go back.
He shows mercy.
He does. Merciful God there. The thing is, I feel like in that last team fight, they were all so focused on trying to get down Dark Potato. He's got that barrier. He's so, as that rhyme, you're fighting at melee range. That's exactly what that rhyme's play into. And then also you have this issue of Hundor. He's so mobile on that Idris. He's able to dodge attacks. And the thing is with Fnatic, there is not that much reliable crowd control on their side. There's a lot of skill coming out from those, just getting that impale, getting the Ordained off. That's a very tricky situation to be placed in those team fights.
It really was, and I thought they had Dark Potato in the beginning of that fight, but you're right, his sustain, the fortified health is just so much. I'm really curious to see if he goes for the Eve of Harvest or if he upgrades his boots in his next purchase, though, as he starts to accrue some of the gold towards the next item purchase. We do have Fnatic as 3 up in the lane. Palmatoro kind of looking for an opening right now. Netwillet waiting for a target that he can impale. Waiting for someone to walk down where he can Giphy and wall them nicely. Ordained out. It's not going to connect us. Hundor stands his ground, just farming here. A lot of farming coming out. 113 last hits for Hundor to the 115 of Tetno JJ. This is just a big farm fest.
Yeah, solid big farm fest. They're all just kind of outstripping the 10 to 1 CS per minute there. But Palmatoro, he's been throwing out a lot of those bad mojos. He too is also very low on energy, and he too is just on that. Well, he is just on that energy bastard, so he can't really commit to a full fight if G2 force one at this point.
I don't feel a huge damage threat out of Hundor at the moment, just as at least the current playstyle of the last minute or two with just the chakrams coming out. I know he's mostly just trying to last hit, but he's just on to Tetno, not a huge amount of damage coming out, not bursty at all. But this could be a movement from Fnatic, and actually it's going to be the Impale. They're on the Keanu. That's not really the target they wanted. They're going to block off the Ordain as to get back Hundor. Put a lot of damage out onto Tetno in return. There's that chakram you're looking for. Now Dark Potato's made his way up. He does have his boots ready to go if they want to move forward. Fountain available for both teams right now, though. I think they should know this and they should play around it as they move forward, but I expect some sort of play to be made.
I just expect G2 to be pushing up the lane here. I mean, Palmator, he's so low on energy. I'm not sure he can clear the wave if G2 push it right into that turret. And we do see Techno JJ coming up here. I mean, to be honest, that last situation there with Fnatic just consistently pushing at that turret, that's kind of what they want to be in. Palmator just being able to throw out those bad mojos time and time again. Because it just forces... What?
Net just doing net things.
I didn't see that. I'm kind of sad about it.
Nah, it's okay. It was just a cheeky impale that he missed.
Oh, there. I mean, if you look at the items that they just picked up there on the side of G2, I think all 3 members picked up major items there. Ultimate Pauldrons on Keanu. Dark Potato got the Eve of Harvest, so that's a lot of sustain coming towards him. He's going to be even more difficult to kill. And I think Hundor, what did Hundor get? I feel like he got an infusion and something else.
I really wasn't paying attention to the items at that point.
There's a lot of items.
Gotta be honest. Maybe he completed the Aegis. I don't know if he had that before. This is a interesting situation here.
Exciting. Is that riveting coming out from?
Honestly, I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, this could just blow up at any moment. They're just onto the turret. Why not? Why not take out the turret? Okay, Atlas Pauldron applied onto Hundor. Hundor taking a lot of damage. The Valkyrie is down. Hundor standing his ground, throwing the Chakram, trying to get back, trying to reposition. You get the Fountain. The Crucible comes through as well. It's Tetno JJ dropping low, and Tetno on the run. G2 has the advantage. They're going to move forward onto Palmatoro. Dark Potato frontlining for his team. Ordained is there. Hundor jumps onto the turret. Will take it out. Let's see if they can find a kill on the way out. They definitely dominated the fight and get the objective out of it.
They do. They get a turret. And I just want to... So we were saying before, Palmator there with that Ordained has the ability to cancel the gauntlet, and that's what happened at the start of that team fight. It took a major part of the engage out. Unfortunately, Dark Potato, he was able to sustain a lot through that fight. He was looking very low, but they were able to turn that around. And what happened was that Fnatic were the ones that were forced back. They were pushed back very, very low there. Techno JJ doesn't have that much, as much defense, wasn't able to sustain.
Oh, Net Toilet, the nicest, most beautiful toilet I've ever seen play Vainglory. Just stole that with an impale. It's an unbelievable place.
Irritating for G2. Extremely irritating. just a 1K
I would say
goal.
that's tilting right there. That's
is a bit
borderline
tilting.
tilting.
It is a bit tilting, but I think G2 know that in the team fight they are coming off better, so I'm sure they can come back from that mental tilt of having that gold mine being stolen.
Wow. Netwillet, honestly, he makes... I think I know it sounds like I'm kind of joking a little bit, but I swear to you guys, this guy makes almost more plays than anybody I see in both EU and NA. Netwillet, one of the best captains out there right now in the scene. Just really, actually, like, legitimately a very good player.
Yeah, so he's been on the scene for so long as well. It's actually really impressive. I think like Fnatic, so we do see Techno JJ and Palmator, they're both infused. Hondor's level 9 infusion is about to run out, so this puts Fnatic in a really good position to be pushing for a team fight or pushing for an objective such as that first heart, which is still standing there for G2.
A lot of damage output on both teams. Both teams have a little bit of disable. Let's see if they can connect. Can the reflex blocks be used as needed here? Kraken has awakened. And it's still 1-2. G2 move forward. Keanu sees Net sees Keanu. Bad Mojo's not going to connect Keanu on the front side for his team. Flares coming out from both sides. Not sure they have vision on Dark Potato and Hundor, but they will very shortly. There's your flare. Techno looking for a target. On point connects onto Hundor as Hundor spams his chakrams out, trying to connect onto these big key targets. He actually has a bone saw now, so we'll see if he can put that to use here. He's trying to take out, burn through some of that armor. Plus there's double Atlas he has to deal with at this point. Dark Potato taking a lot of damage. The Gauntlet's down.
No.
They're going to be able to stun up Palmatoro as they move forward. There's your Valkyrie connecting, but Palmatoro, so much regeneration. He throws the Bad Mojo, he kites back, but who is it? It is Hundor over the top side, but Dark Potato's regenning. He has the fortified health. He's doing his best. Can we get a kill in the enemy trade? No! Kills coming EU, and when they come in spades. Keanu Nakoa doing his best. He'll go down at the end. Fnatic with the ace. 3-1 trade. And that is it's so nice. You know, we didn't have kills for quite a while, but we get them all at once.
I feel like mechanically that was an excellent team fight coming out from both of the teams. Like just in terms of how they were engaging, how they were moving around the map, the way they were using the skills. I mean, it was, and at the end how they split. So, I mean, there's a lot of focus being placed on Palmator. He got stunned by the gauntlet, but he was able to escape thanks to Netwillet keeping him safe. And Techno JJ at the end there with the execute. I mean, that looked extremely tense. I honestly thought Hundor was going to be the one coming out on top there in that team fight against Techno JJ. I was so surprised when Techno just managed to win that. But he had that breaking point. He was on Dark Potato the whole time.
Yep.
And then turned all those stacks onto Hundor, which was how he was able to win.
I think that's really the difference. You know, that was kind of a pretty sustained fight, and one had a breaking point and one didn't.
Oh, yeah, that is what it is. And we do see Fnatic now. They're sitting with a very small 1K gold lead. And I mean, the Kraken is available. Everyone's looking very good for Fnatic right now. However, they are the ones that are behind on infusions.
Rotating around the backside. Sneaky little rotates from the sneaky little players. Fnatic. You have superior positioning at this point. Well, maybe it's inferior positioning, but it feels superior at this point. It's more that they are dictating the pace and the positioning of the game. G2 are going to move down. Scout Trap popped off. Fnatic know where G2 are rotating from. The flare is going to come out of G2. That's an infusion on actually both sides. The gauntlet is going to come down. Who is your target? Techno JJ. Rose offensive over the top. A lot of damage coming out. He needs to lock on. He's on to Hundor, but he's taking a lot of damage. Rose defensive. There comes the healing. Can they keep him alive? Hundor able to take him down. How did Keanu get that? Keanu actually got it, but the damage coming from Hundor and Dark Potato. Dark Potato with brokenness stacks. And Netwillet, last man standing. No surprise there. There's no way they're going to chase him down. Netwillet, oh my god. Are you ready?
Oh, he's going to steal this.
Steals?
Oh,
Let's show. Flush him down the toilet,
run.
bro. Flush him down the toilet. Let's go.
No!
Oh, Net, come on. That's not what we wanted.
That's not what we wanted, but the team fights. Every single time they're just going completely different way there. I mean, it looked so close there for that last team fight there, but they were able to focus on Techno JJ in the end. And
it was so close, right?
Yeah, because in the team fights, if they're fighting Fnatic, the last, you want to be taking out Techno JJ first. Because Palmator, he doesn't have a broken myth, he's just got that Shower Glass and the clockwork. Ultimately, in a sustained team fight, he's not going to be winning those. It's coming down to Techno JJ. If they're able to focus him down at the start, that is just GG there for G2.
All right, can we have a GG for G2 as they march forward with the Kraken? She is mad. They are onto the choke point turret here, doing good work. Fnatic poking onto G2 just a little bit. There's going to be your gauntlet actually coming down, stunning up Net on the edge. Can they get back out of this one? No! They've lost Net to lead. They're not going to have a fountain here. Palmatoro connects with the Bad Mojo and the Ordained coming out onto Keanu, but it's Dark Potato and Hundor onto the Vainglory8 turrets. A Rose defensive back, Tetno and Palma should be okay on this one. G2 going to back out as the Kraken has fallen. That was a very scary fight.
Very, very scary fight there, and I feel like G2, they weren't able to turn and pick up the last two kills there with Techno, JJ, and Palmator, but the fact that they were able to take the net to it so quickly is very, very scary. And I feel like right now, going back to the issues before, is that Hundor and Dark Potato together, they are very difficult to kill. Like, extremely difficult. They're so tanky. They're like, especially Hundor, he is so mobile, and Dark Potato effectively acting as just another front line there, along with Keanu, just to keep Hundor alive and just to use his roots to slow down the members of Fnatic. It's a very scary position right now.
They also have a triple Atlas Pauldron. There you go. It's so hard for Tetno in these fights. Like, are you kidding me, dude? He has to avoid the stuns, the gauntlet walls. He has to block off an Atlas Pauldron, and he has 3 to worry about. So his positioning, it just has to be like absolutely perfect in these fights. It's really beautiful for G2 is that Dark Potato, he has massive damage output, but he just stands his ground because he's so tanky. Hundor has massive damage output, but he's a little more elusive. So it's like you lose focus of Hundor. It's very easy to try and switch targets, but when Hundor jumps back out, like you have to switch immediately. Fnatic kind of failing in regards to that in the last fight. Let's see if they can keep focus and target focus one of these G2 members down in this next fight. Infusion coming out for Keanu. Everybody's infused across the board.
Everybody is infused.
Let's just say that.
What I'm thinking is right now, Palmator, he's got that piercing shard. And I think it's not until he gets that broken myth that they're really in a good position to be fighting. And I don't know if this game's going to go on long enough for him to get to that point where he gets that broken myth, or if G2 can close that game out in time. And especially the Kraken coming out now, he's still a fair bit of gold behind, and Hundor is going in.
Hundor just shot step in with the chakram. They just start lighting Net up. I mean, they're looking for one of these key targets, but why not? And they're on to Tetno. They're going to be able to block off one Atlas, but there's another one coming through. Dark Potato, he's on to Tetno. Tetno trying to run, trying to get away. Hundor trading a lot of damage. The chakram coming through. Tetno's on the backside, but it's Palma frontlining. Palma's able to get the kill. They take Hundor down. Now the Potato, you need to make some plays, but he's rooted into place. EU Trance. I'm not kidding you. EU Trance are the most OP in the world. On point misses. Dark Potato still alive. Palma Toro's here. He's trying to throw the Bad Mojo. Ordain's in there. Dark Potato trying to stand his ground. The fortified health is OP. One more Winter Spire. It's not enough. Keanu. He's the last man standing. Look at this. Palma Toro. And Nets will let winning the fight that they needed to win 22 minutes. And they're going to get a Kraken. I'm just like shaking my head. What?
My heart rate just spiked there, I think, after that team fight. Just positionally, it was looking great, but then the Crystal Sentry decided to join in, and then it looked not so great there for G2. And they were just, all the Pauldrons came out there onto Techno JJ. The fact that he was able to stay alive so long, absolutely just mechanically incredible just outplays coming out from Techno JJ there.
Really were. I actually, in my book though, well, Tetno survived a super long time. I think he did a great job. I mean, the whole team did a really good job.
Oh yeah.
Palma Toro, dude. Palma Toro straight up zoned and made the plays happen in that game. He was the one that zoned out Hundor to the top side of the fight, then secures the kill, moves down with his team, cleans up everybody else. It was really clean. I think also the Dark Potato got rooted by that Treant in the middle of the fight, kind of messed up his swag a little bit.
We all know that the Treant in Europe is a very powerful player in the game.
It's the fourth member.
It is the fourth member. So here we have it. This could be the final push. Could be it.
I mean, honestly, like, how did we ever doubt Fnatic? 7-7. They're down in net worth, but they're moving forward with Kraken. They are taking out the choke point turret of G2, and G2 at an advantage in this game, somehow starting to fall behind. But if they win this fight, they could just reverse this move down across the map and end it out. Dark Potato with the Winter Spires forward. They're going to be able to block off the Fearsome Shade. Dark Potato holding his ground. And it looks like in the end, it's going to be just Kraken for choke point turret.
Yes, it looks like, so it's actually a net profit there going towards G2. You know, they get the 500 gold from the Kraken, and Fnatic only get 300 from that one turret there. And they're sitting at a 2.8k gold lead there. All the infusions are still out for everyone. So this is it. The team fights have been so incredibly close every single time, and I feel like G2 are just about to engage because they're just infused.
Piano's trying the gauntlet. That's a godly two-man impale out of net to lead. There you go. There's your gauntlet. Fearsome Shade's going to catch out Keanu. They have the Atlas Pauldron to fight onto Hundor, but he throws the chakram. There's the Shimmer Strike on the target. He's right back out. They got the War Treads to reposition him. Hundor's dropping very low. A Shimmer Striking goes down. Paul the Taro making the plays, making up for every mistake, every misplay. Made one two-man impale into the wall. Net led. Who is this guy? Dark Potato turned it around so hard. They just got turned around so hard on. I was starting to sing their praises, but they forgot. I forgot they're playing up against the Rhyme, and holy balls, they just got smoked.
Holy Nova, absolutely. That.
Holy Nova.
We were like, Holy Nova could be like a great expression, but oh my gosh, oh my goodness, that was. I mean, that was Fnatic's fight to lose.
Oh.
And Dark Potato, Keanu, the
what
Century
was
helping.
that? I was like, Net just got like a two-man impale into a get-in wall. I thought they're there with AoE damage. They have the control. Dark Potato's like, you've fallen right into my trap.
He had the Eve. All three members just right on top of him. And he was just sustaining so much, getting the chill, getting the roots down. And then the Crystal Sentry comes along and helps. Probably the most, such a painful loss there for Fnatic. I'm really feeling for them. But G2, what a win. It's 1-1 right now.
Wow. You know, it's also a win for analysts. You know, they were heavily in G2's favor going into this matchup. I could see, not for good reason, there were some strengths to the draft. But obviously, a very interesting game. I don't even know, guys back at the desk, was that some misplays? Was it some outplays? A little of both? That was really exciting from our perspective.
That was a little bit of magic coming out from Dark Potato at the end of that game. I cannot believe that final team fight. I cannot believe G2 took it after it looked so good for Fnatic.
And it looked like Fnatic were completely turning it around. They had finally started to really gain some footing, but then Rhyme happened.
Yeah. Okay, let's reel it back a little bit. Let's start the early game before we get too carried away on this one. I just really want to talk about that last fight, but let's start from the beginning because it was very back and forth. It wasn't just a G2 game the whole way, or it wasn't a Fnatic game the whole way. It definitely went both ways to start.
Yeah, for sure. It was, I mean, G2 had the better composition, but Fnatic also played really well when it came to, like, some of these Fearsome Shades was not blocked. And that kind of helped Fnatic kind of get the advantage in some of these fights. There is one critical fight that we're going to dig deep into, but you can see that when G2 focuses the same person, they win the fight. In this fight, they actually are able to focus down. They actually split their focus, actually. Blackfeather is hitting Rhyme, and this is where Fnatic actually wins the fight because Blackfeather has Breaking Point, and Hundor does not. And because of the Breaking Point stacks, he's able to sustain, get the Poison Shiv heal, and then just survive and live through that fight. It was an amazing fight, and that just shows you when G2 is able to focus one person down, and this is where they focus Blackfeather. They win this fight because both carries focus on the Blackfeather, and then they win this fight, and that's where G2 shines. Like, they need to focus on Blackfeather every fight, or Baptiste, whoever it is. As long as they focus the same carry, they win the fights.
Yeah, so long as they were able to focus together. But honestly, in fights like that, when everybody in the game is basically melee, it's very difficult to focus one target. Everyone's stacked on top of each other. Like, my fingers are only so thin.
And that's what I was talking about before we got into this game. It was going to be very chaotic and messy in these fights because everyone is melee. Everyone's right on top of each other, and it was just going to be who could, control that chaos the best. And that was back and forth. Both teams obviously had their opportunities, but in the end, G2, I mean, that last fight, can we just talk about that last fight for like the rest of the broadcast? That was so good.
That was insane. There's another fight that I want to talk about first, though, and Sweetjay is actually going to take a little bit of a closer look at one of the team fights that happened. I believe it was the one before that final fight where everything gets very messy very quickly, and it easily could have gone either way, and Sweetjay's going to kind of break down the action just a little bit more so we can get some insight as to why the fight happened the way it did, as opposed to just how exciting it was. So Sweetjay, talk us through what happened.
Thank you so much, Montrose. Hey, everybody. So this is a key fight that actually Fnatic wins and pulls off the ace here, and it leads to Kraken. It was a critical fight that if G2 won, it will probably end the game. So let's go ahead and roll the clip and watch what happens here. So you can see that they engage with a gauntlet onto Blackfeather here, right? So he's caught in the gauntlet, and you can see the amount of blocks coming out there. So you can see when Rhyme drops the ultimate, Blackfeather then uses his reflex block to block the ultimate there. You can notice the reflex blocks of Netolette are up and the reflex block of Keanu Riva. So I want you guys to pay attention to that as you see the reflex block and the ultimate here was not used. So because the team was feared, Blackfeather survives this fight. So if Keanu normally he blocks a lot of fearsome shades, he's very good, but this one he was just half a second too, or he didn't block it, and because of that, Blackfeather survives this fight because the team is feared. They're not able to then initiate and do damage to him. So we're gonna roll the clip from here and watch how the rest of this fight progresses. It's pretty epic too. It's pretty crazy how like Techno JJ is in the middle of this, the gauntlet, everything. He's Atlas. He uses another Crucible comes out to help him survive. Look how low he is. He's able to get out. Look at Netolette's positioning here. He's able to push everyone off, stun Rhyme into the wall here, and then he's stunned here. He's rooted, I think, and stunned. So Idris isn't able to complete the damage to kill Netolette. And look at him. He's just surviving, and he gets his energy regen up. And you can see here, Baptiste then focuses and zones out the Idris and kills him. And then from there, Rhyme gets rooted. So this Treant is just OP here. The Crystal Sentry is on Rhyme. He just can't get to Techno in the rest of this fight. And as you can see, the rest of the fight is going to play out here. And Fnatic wins this critical fight. And you can see there's one ability, right? One ultimate from Baptiste. Palmotaro literally saved Techno's life with that fear. And because it wasn't blocked, Techno was able to get out, and the fight turns the way of Fnatic. It was pretty crazy and made the game go back and forth because of this one critical fight. Thank you.
Yeah, and it really goes to show like how impactful each individual player can be in a fight. This was the final fight of the game. Bacon, talk me through what happened.
This one was just so good. Again, a lot of the controlled chaos, but it was Fnatic looking like they were going to take this fight. They found the damage that they needed, but then it starts to drift a little bit closer to this Treant. And Dark Potato still very, very healthy on this Rhyme, just building up those stacks. And then all of a sudden, here comes the big root and massive Winter Spire hitting everyone. And with a fully stacked Broken Myth, it just destroyed their health.
That right there is every Rhyme's dream, right? It does not get better than that if you're Rhyme. And that keeps G2 in. Let's remember, they lose this series, they go to challenge battles, and that singular play at the end of that game has kept them in. It's kept the dream alive, and now they can go into a third game. Speaking of which, we should probably start to talk about the draft a little bit here. I mean, where do we even begin? Are we likely to see something like a Rhyme again, or was this kind of a one-time game?
I think this may have just been a one-time game. This is only the third time we've seen Rhyme all season. It only comes out in specific situations, so I just don't feel like Fnatic's going to draft themselves into a position where Rhyme could be strong. At the same time, with G2 now being on the A side, Rhyme is typically a B side pick. You typically only see it come out as a final selection, because otherwise it's just way too risky.
Yeah, I feel like we had a real treat getting to see a full melee game like that. It doesn't happen very often. I'm a little bit jealous of Humanist getting to cast that because that was an action-packed game. But yeah, so Blackfeather going to be the first ban coming out for G2, and that's going to be taken away from Palmotaro, so he's not going to be able to get that one anymore.
Yeah, that's a smart ban by G2 there. Last time they banned Baptiste, actually, and now Fnatic will probably ban Grace here because leaving Grace open is pretty risky. They're actually banned Baptiste, which G2 hasn't played, so now G2 is going to take Grace, and now Fnatic then needs to respond probably with a Vox pick because Vox is mobile and can jump around Grace, and he's really good against a Grace composition. So if they pick Vox here, G2 definitely needs to ban Lyra, and then Fnatic needs to ban Baron because Baron Grace is a very strong combination. So let's see what Fnatic decides, if they're going to go ahead and pick the Lyra off, or they're going to secure the Vox. If they don't secure Vox, G2 is going to take it.
Yeah, you say Baron Grace is a very strong combination. Baron anything is a very strong combination.
I mean, Baron
to be
anything,
honest.
Grace anything, like, so you put them together and it just becomes unstoppable.
Yeah.
So hopefully that won't be allowed to come through. It's going to be an Arden for Fnatic,
Okay.
so they're just going to say, you know, we don't want a healer on our team apparently, as they do ban away the Baron.
No fear, just wanting to get that skirmish on the go once again. Arden great in those kind of melee compositions, great at protecting his carries as well, which is good into the likes of Grace. Obviously, Grace wants to dive in, wants to get that CC down. Arden, very good at protecting his teammates. So we'll see how that's going to work out. Baron, obviously the ban from Fnatic. They do not want to let that go over to G2.
And now G2, because of the Arden pickup, they don't have to ban the Lyra here either. They can just let the Lyra go through the draft, so they can now ban away some other power pick that they know Fnatic's going to want. There's a lot of options. You know, you can ban away the Idris, ban away the Vox would be very smart, just so that it doesn't come out against this Grace. They're putting a lot of thought into this ban, though.
Yeah, I think Vox would make the most sense here. You don't have to worry about Lyra anymore because Arden's picked. They're like, go ahead and go for the Samuel here instead of the Vox. So this allows Fnatic to then pick up Vox because honestly, melee would be a little risky into Grace if the Grace is played properly. So Fnatic most likely will pick the Vox here, but they may just take Idris off the board and play Idris with Arden, which is actually a very strong combo if they feel confident enough to play an Idris into a Grace composition here. But that means Vox will be open against Idris if they do decide this route.
And just for an idea of, you know, we're seeing Vox's overall win rate there. It's not the greatest, but against Grace, you know, Grace in particular in Europe has, coming into this week, had 7 losses. 5 of those losses were against a Vox. And that's one of the only like common denominators in those losses was the Vox pickup. So it's a really strong pick into it, but they're going to go ahead and grab the Idris. While this isn't a counter to the Grace, it is a pick, another pick that is very strong with the Grace. So it feels like it's more just Fnatic taking that away from G2.
Yeah, G2 can now pick Vox and Ryan, but if they pick Ryan, Fnatic can now pick like Sky, for example. Palmatoro does play Sky. He's known to play Sky last season. So if they do Rhyme, then Sky can counter that. So it's very risky to pick Rhyme on A side. You want to pick Rhyme on B side. So if anything, what's a more safe pick for them, since Samuel and Blackfeather are banned, is they could go for potentially like Koshka if they do want to play Koshka, so that they can out-damage the Idris if he decides to dive onto the Vox.
Scarf is open as well. We've
Scarf
seen
is
a lot
open.
of Scarf recently. Also, you get to take that away from Palmatoro at that stage, because we know that Palmatoro loves a bit of Scarf.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options, although Dark Potato is one of the few junglers that doesn't really play a lot of the Crystal Power junglers.
Ooh, Alpha!
A lot of the
I haven't seen
standard-
Alpha come on a long time.
I believe Alpha has a 0% win rate in the Vainglory8 so far this season. Is
Oh,
that right?
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but Fnatic's gonna pick Sky here. They can do Sky or Rhyme, but Sky makes a lot of sense here. And woo, man, that's very risky because Sky actually counters Grace too. Because she's so mobile, she can slow, and Grace cannot, even though Grace is tanky, once the Holy Shield is down, Sky's forward barrage is gonna just wreck her.
It's going to Brecca. We'll see if he's going to be able to bring that one out through this one. 0% win rate, 2.6% pick rate so far for Alpha.
Yeah,
We'll
3
see
games.
if G2 can kind of flip that statistic, whether they can actually get a win on the board. What are we thinking about the compositions then? Because from that conversation, it feels like you guys are leaning towards Fnatic already.
I think this one's actually going to be very close. I think they both have a lot of strengths. The Sky is very good into Grace, but depending on the timing, you know, it's all going to be about timing when you use those Holy Shields, when you use the Benediction for the Grace, and when you use the Divine Intervention. Because if you use that as soon as a forward barrage starts, it's going to block up a ton of that damage. But if you use it too early, forward barrage comes out after, the forward barrage is going to melt through. The big thing to me is going to be keeping an eye on this Alpha, though.
Okay, so the Alpha definitely going to be a standout denominator in this game. What are your thoughts, Suijay?
Yeah, Grace Alpha is very strong early game, so if G2 needs to win early and mid, if they let Fnatic get to late game, it's Fnatic's game to win, because Sky gets online with 2 or 3 items, and she counters their composition pretty hard.
Okay, so once again, the onus is on G2 to push in the early game, and Fnatic, we mentioned that their playstyle is to be that passive team that wants to just farm it out until the late game and then come online. Their composition plays into that pretty nicely. I do just want to talk a little bit more before we jump on into the game. We're just waiting for one of the players, I believe. Oh, actually, I've just been told that the game is in fact ready. So forget what I just said. It is time to head on into the third game of this quarterfinal. Let us know who you're supporting going on into this one. G2 versus Fnatic. Hashtag Vainglory8 is how you can let us know on Twitter who you're going to be supporting. But it's time to jump onto the fall for the third and final time in this series.
What a series we have had here. G2 Esports versus Fnatic. And both teams showing us their real power. We're in game 3 here, Xingyi, and some fun drafts on both sides.
Some very fun drafts. And, we were saying before the game started, the analysts said themselves, this Alpha is going to be a major key player in this game. She may have a poor win rate, 0% win rate so far in the Vainglory8, but I think combined with that Grace, it's going to be very devastating. So incredibly sticky, and this may be what they need to pin down that Idris.
Yeah, it feels like it can be very hit or miss. I mean, they were talking about how Sky can do quite well into Grace, and typically the Alpha matchup is very skill-based, but I can imagine that Alpha on the front line, getting a Divine Intervention from Keanu, where that Alpha could do a lot of work. Currently, Palmatoro is going to connect onto Keanu, cancels off that forward barrage. He wants to get his mid, wants to get his experience and start moving forward.
Yes, and looks like there's not going to be any more contest for that. So right now, I feel like level 2 Alpha, level 1 Grace. I'm not sure this is going to be a great matchup going into that Sky, and I really do think that we should just be seeing a bit more passive play coming out from G2 anyway. Before they start picking up those fights. It doesn't look like we've gone for those minion candies early on, which they have been favoring in the past few games.
Yeah, it's interesting that they choose not to go for it here. Maybe feeling like they just have a little more potential to control the lane.
Yeah, I definitely feel. There's just gonna be. Looking at Hundor and Techno JJ, I feel like the past 2 games has really been about them. Like, in my opinion, I feel like people can agree to disagree, but I think in terms of skill, it's just been so exciting watching these 2 laners just face up against each other. Because like their mechanics, they're both on heroes. I think they do extremely well on the Vox and the Idris, and like every single team fight I've seen them playing in the last few games, it's just amazing. I feel like that's the only word I can use to describe it.
Just amazing. Just fangirling over the laner.
I am. I feel like they're so mechanical. The outplays, just so good. So good. I mean, everyone else has been playing great, but the laners for me, it's for the series, for me, it's about the laners. For
me, for you, for this series, it's going to be all about the junglers. I'm looking at Palmatoro, Dark Potato playing games, and look at that forward barrage. Oh, Sky is fun to play. Benediction comes in there from Keanu as he's able to steal the Elder Treant away, making the plays cheeky, and I like it.
Yeah, that is Keanu. He's good at the steals, but maybe not as good as Net2let. I mean, Net2let's pretty on point there with the steals as well. I'm like you're saying about the junglers. We're gonna see if this Alpha is gonna be hit or miss or not. If she's gonna be able to do as much as we like. Certainly, I think, especially that Sky and the Idris, they're very highly mobile heroes. It's always been an issue trying to pin them down, especially if you've got that Arden as well, who's able to use his gauntlet and just peel for his teammates. This could be a very tricky situation, but that does depend. That does only really makes an impact once he's level 6.
I think this game, actually, I would have liked to see Keanu pick up a Protector contract. I feel like it could have done pretty well for the Vox, who's trading out harass damage in lane with the ability to sustain himself up, and also the Alpha, who's trying to like get in and around the edges of these fights. And if you can just find yourself with that slight damage output advantage, where you've sustained a little bit more, we'll hold that thought. Benediction into the Prime Directive, and Techno just gets a Vanguard and gets himself right out of there. He really doesn't take too much damage.
And he's not able to destruct the G2. I think they've been rotating up to the lane fairly regularly as a 3-man team, trying to get some kills, but they're not succeeding so far. And that is because Net2let, he is just babysitting Techno, using that Vanguard just to help him escape. And Sky, this leaves Sky in a very comfortable position. She's able to solo jungle. She's getting the XP for it. She's about to reach level 5, a little bit faster than Dark Potato. Actually, they may be reaching at the same time. And she's just very safe. There's not much happening in the jungle so far. It's just all about just kind of getting that pressure in on the lane.
Yeah, a lot of pressure coming out. And, as we look at players hitting their power spikes, like Palmatoro, his damage output is insane right now. Like, if you actually try to compare it to what Dark Potato can put out in a fight here, as time goes on, that will start to even out, and the fact that Dark Potato is going to have essentially 2 lives is going to help him a lot. But at this point, you got to be careful. Well, as I say that, I like literally just curse people. The moment I talk about them, it goes the opposite way.
the caster's curse. It's an unfortunate but real thing that happens. I know, part of me wonders whether or not G2 keeps forcing the fights in the lane so that when Palmasaur is forced to rotate up, the minions body block a lot of the damage coming out from the forward barrage, because I certainly feel like that's happening a lot every time he's coming up to the lane. And if it is, it's really smart coming out from G2.
We have fountains available for both teams as G2 or S3 in the lane. Putting a lot of pressure out. Tetno's just like, dude, I'm just trying to last hit here. Don't mind me. A lot of damage coming out though. He's doing okay. Very good job just sustaining himself with that Book of Eulogies.
Yeah, there's a lot of sustain coming out from both Hundor and TechnoJJ, but Hundor's he's picked up that poison, the Shiv already. I think TechnoJJ maybe has enough gold to rotate down to the and get his Sora Blade. He's not rotated down yet, still in the lane. Either way, I think that's a good opportunity for both of the teams. They're both beginning to reach their spikes, they're both scaling up very well into the game now. And Palmasaur, especially with that Frostburn, is going to make it very difficult for Dark Potato and Kiana to try and stick onto her. Or
Do you like that Frostburn?
I feel like for this game, it can certainly do a lot because you've got this double slow kind of coming out. Even potentially even the triple slow if you look at the resonance coming out from the box as well. There's a lot of gap closing abilities.
Oh, Palmatoro trying to make the plays is actually pretty cute. Yes, he threw that Death from Above down with a target lock onto a lane minion there. Not going to connect means he will rotate back in the jungle, but you can tell Palma's definitely feeling very comfortable on this guy. Historically, you know, our analyst mentioned it, this is like one of his top picks if you go back looking at even like his Team Secret days. Like, he played that Skye almost better than anybody, so it's pretty exciting to see him, you know, starting to dance around on this hero.
Yes, it is. I don't know. We were having a little bit of a discussion about this before the game actually began about the Skye, and I personally feel like Skye, maybe not.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I won't say it. I won't say it.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I was saying, personally for me, Skye has not been a major hero in this meta for me, and I feel like, I know, but I feel like Palmator can make her work, but I just feel like every time I've seen Skye in the Vainglory8, she just doesn't have that wow factor for me. I feel like in terms of compared to other heroes, maybe damage output, kind of playstyle, it's not for me this meta.
Well, I think it's purely a compositional matchup. She does so well into heroes that have a very linear type of play. You know, heroes that are going to run straight at you, that move in predictable patterns. So we'll see. I think this game she should do pretty good, especially against the Alpha. Like, if Alpha's rebooting or anything like that, it's like the easiest Death from Above forward barrage combo of your life. Very easy to clean up. Kiana's going to be moving straight at targets when he jumps in. We'll see if he can take advantage of that. I think Hundor is going to be like the real problem for Palmatoro, the one that's going to be the hardest for him to find damage on in these fights.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a kind of situation there left for TechnoJJ versus Hundor. Like, TechnoJJ will have probably one of the easier jobs to try and stick onto Hundor, thanks to his Shimmer Strike there. Oh, actually, looks like we're getting some action here.
Yeah, that Prime Directive and a bit bold coming out there. A lot of damage onto Fnatic. They're holding the Fountain. Dark Potato starting to poke and play games. Hundor actually a respectable amount of damage coming out of him as well. Palmatoro from max range with the forward barrage just kind of kissing G2 onto the edge there. He'll go back to take his backs, get a little healing and some extra gold in his pocket. Tetno and Net, gotta be careful. It's the benediction coming through. That'll be a little shroud step and some chakram love from Tetno back onto Keanu. As nobody able to find any kills on the board yet.
This is what happened in the last game. I mean, okay, so in the last game, actually, I feel like Fnatic picked up some. Actually, yeah, in the last game, it was very, very quiet. They were really trying to pick up the kills, but they were just struggling to make the moves. And I feel like in this one, it's kind of similar circumstances here. Dark Potato and Keanu, they're not going to be the easiest heroes to take down. And then Attila, he's doing such a good job of vanguarding his teammates away to safety that I'm not expecting. I'm more expecting to like get to the 15-minute game. This is a very cerebral game between these two teams right now. And it's certainly playing out, so you can tell just the way they're moving around the map. Extremely cautious. I feel like there's not many flaws in their rotations so far.
Yeah, and they're kind of... Keanu, he did a lot of damage for her. Death from Above is perfect. Tetno jumps in. The Fountain comes out. I feel like they could have got that kill. But they're playing reserve just a touch, and it's hard to blame them for that. They have Fountain advantage. They have the Gauntlet. They have everything they need. The only thing going against them is the fact that Dark Potato just showed up. Look at that chakra cutting through G2 at this point. Divine Intervention heals up the Potato. Keanu's going to go ahead and pour it out of here. Hundor, forward barrage connecting. He's going to just Sonic Zoom. Try and do his best to be elusive through these fights. 9 minutes in, no kills. And it does feel very reminiscent of our previous game that didn't have much action, but could just blow wide open once a fight kicks off. Prime Directive's not going to connect. Goldminer is low. Fnatic out to the east side, G2 to the southwest. Just trying to control vision through here. Currently, the Fnatic are going to give up on the gold miner.
They're going to give him the gold mine. Keanu, he's 8 seconds away from getting that fountain again, so we are going to be seeing Fnatic losing that fountain advantage as well. Techno maybe slightly out of position. He's going to be able to get back in time. But that divine intervention that with the combined with the fountain, it's going to be so difficult for Fnatic, and I just want to see them just getting a little bit more sustain in terms of their damage items. Oh, the gauntlet!
Gauntlet right down. Netwillet, very nice job. Forward brush going through. Oh, Termination Protocol popped off. The potato getting roasted. Ready for eating, ready for dinner time. Kiana Nakoa is going to absorb that forward barrage. Hundor was the one with target lock. Palm and Toro feeling himself in these fights, dancing around, and now Fnatic's turn to apply some pressure down onto this turret. Just throwing that forward barrage from range. Techno jumps forward, Shroud Step, Shimmer Strike, jumps off the top, but the Atlas Pauldron was applied to him. Hundor, Sonic Zoom, gonna dodge out. That Death from Above comes through as well. Fnatic taking a swing at some kills, missing. Maybe missing an opportunity to take that turret down as well.
Yeah, I feel like so. I feel like they're trying to pick up the kills, that they kind of missed the turret there. It is left at very low health, but they weren't really able to get any major objectives off the back of that. The gold mine is still full, as it has been for the past few minutes. They weren't able to get the turrets either. But picking up the first kill of the game, though, that is very important. And like you said, Sky into Alpha. It's not the best matchup. We saw what happened when the Death from Above came down, as well as that forward barrage. Dark Potato only has that light shield, so those crystal powers is gonna be just doing a lot.
That's just what happens.
Yeah, that's just...
you have to be able to be like fighting in a very like an area where it's very easy to stick on this guy. Like you want to get the jump, and then she can't retreat like under a turret very easily like she did, because the moment you turn around, you left yourself nowhere to go. If the gauntlet comes down, if Death from Above comes down, and you're just caught, well, these, like all the damage is just gonna pile up on top of you. You got to leave yourself a way out.
You definitely do, and I feel like Fnatic, they're going to be making this push for this turret now.
Jump in, Keanu onto Techno.
Oh.
The Benediction is going to be on cooldown for a second here. He still has his ultimate. Chose not to throw the Atlas or the Holy Novas. His team wasn't quite ready to follow up. But you see Fnatic trying to get damage out onto this turret. This is going to be a fight. The fight's going to happen here. There's your Benediction. There's your Atlas Pauldron applied. And a Vanguard back right into the Gauntlet. A stun on top of Dark Potato. Who is Netwillet? What a player. Palmator with the forward barrage. Target lock is on to Hundor. Still target locked. It'll finally drop off. We have Fountain available for both teams still. They're trying to be as efficient as possible. Hundor, a lot of forward barrage. Sonic zooms to get himself out of there. Dark Potato jumps forward with the core charge. Chakram's coming out. They're just playing games. Well, quite literally playing games.
Yes,
playing games with each other,
are.
toying with each other's minds at this point. Divine Intervention comes out on Hundor. It's going to be a 40-second cooldown on that.
Yeah, definitely. It's frustrating for me watching Palmator right now, because all those minions are just body block, and I just really want them to be taking the fight down to the jungle, which is where I feel Palmator would do so much better with the series strikes and the forward barrages. Because right now, they're just G2 are able to just dodge a lot of the damage that he's throwing at them by using the minions.
Yeah, that's definitely something you have to keep in mind as a Sky player. We'll see, though, if they can find the positioning that they actually need. I don't think also that Palma really wanted to force things, but he's definitely getting to the point as he goes to complete his next item, probably his Eve of Harvest, where that Sky really comes online.
Yeah, definitely. And he's level 12 as well. He's got a bit of a level advantage there compared to Dark Potato, who's about to hit it in the next minute or so. But Eve, yes, I think that's going to be exactly what he needs, given the extra sustain in those team fights. But right now, I think since that last kill, we're just seeing them just really kind of trading blows with each other.
Trading back and forth. Only one kill on the board. It's 14 minutes into this game. Net worth pretty even overall. Both of these teams really want to take this series. They really want to move into day 2. And you can tell based off their playstyle. Sonic Zoom dodged out. Forward barrage coming through from Palmator from max range. Getting a couple broken myth stacks. And Netwillet has his gauntlet. You can see, based on his positioning, he was kind of thinking about throwing it there, but Techno would much rather push this lane down, and I think it's a smart choice. Chakram gonna come through. Keanu eating a lot of forward barrage, a couple broken myth stacks. Once again, Keanu jumps in with the Benediction, holds the rest of his abilities. Death from Above is gonna go ahead and zone G2 from moving back. Dark Potato and gets his attacks off onto Net, but there's no real vulnerabilities coming through from the positioning of Fnatic. They're not leaving any openings.
This is what I was saying before. Such a cerebral game. They are really playing so carefully. I mean, this is a 1-1 situation. There's so much hinging on them getting to the next day. And Palmatoro, he's just playing so well right now. Just really just doing a lot of damage there to G2, forcing them back consistently. And Fnatic, they're not really losing much at all. I feel like the moment that G2 choose that moment to pick up some aggression, I think that's just going to tell. That's going to be determining who's going to be getting the crack and who's going to be getting the first turrets off the game, actually.
I do feel like Dark Potato is ready to fight though. Like now that he's got his Broken Myth complete, like his boots are off cooldown, everything's ready to go. So they're waiting. This is a team-wide thing. They're waiting on one more item to be completed. I don't know what it's gonna be. Breaking Point. There you go. Breaking Point completed for Hundor. So now this could be what they were actually waiting on. They maybe wait for infusions before they actually get into the fight. Fresh infusion coming out of Techno JJ, sensing that potentially we might have a fight on our hands here any minute. Any minute. No.
I definitely. Double infusions on the side of Fnatic. None there for G2. This could be, they've been poking away at that turret for a very long time. And I would really like to see it going down soon. I mean, there's practically no goal difference between the two teams right now. 200, 300? Negligible.
Negligible. Well,
Just...
This is a game in a game where teams do not find kills and fail to push turrets.
They get damage occasionally.
There can be only one heal coming from Keanu Nakoa. Nettoilette's in with a blood for blood. And they're out of there. G2, they're back to their jungle. Fnatic, have an opportunity. This is your opportunity. Take it. Seize your moment. Seize your turret.
Do not carpe diem. We back away. Again.
You jump in, Benediction on to Techno. Techno, hey. Ford Barrage connecting. Frostburn doing work. Okay, Palma, besides everything except for his boots being ready to go, this is everything a Sky wants. Okay, everything the Sky wants and needs right now. Frostburn, your Eve, Broken Myth, you're infused, you are ready to go. They are ready to go. Fnatic is going to pull the trigger here any second. Nettoilette probably throws this gauntlet in the next 30 seconds. Wait for it. Who's it going to be? Unless G2 just back out of the lane, then
They are backing out the lane. They heard you, and they're backing out the lane.
I'm done.
And the wave of minions is too far away for them to push that turret down.
Alright, I'm gonna go make some toast, and then I'll be right back. You can cast this for now. There we go! That's all I had to say! The fight's starting!
No, it's not.
And it's over. Gauntlet's down. Keanu gets stunned up, but there's nowhere to go. Surrey strike over the top. Ford Barrage is there. Dark Potato, he's got the Termination Protocol. The wait for it's going to come through. A Prime Directive in. Lot of big damage coming out. They blew them up. Huge damage. And G2 find themselves on the board. That's the key. I just decided to say, I make a little toast, and they make the plays happen.
They did. They tapped it, and they've held onto the fountain. They held onto the fountain. They get the first turret. They get G2's first kill of the game actually onto Palmatoro. And is it really any wonder if you look at his items? He's probably the easiest one to take down. He's only got that light armor. If you throw everything you have at him, he's gonna go down. And he's kind of stepping back, looking at Dark Potato on his Termination Protocol. He did use it, and it did so much damage there. They were able to stick onto Palmatoro. Nettoilette wasn't able to Vanguard him out to safety in time. But the plays, they all happen in 10 very quick seconds.
The plays sure did happen. And what a strategy, right? To lull your opponents into a false sense of security. To lull them, dare we say, to sleep. And then strike like a cobra. Just very impressive stuff.
Very impressive stuff, indeed. But despite taking the first turret and one kill, they are, still a 2k gold lead. It's 18 minutes. Looking at the map, still very close, very, very close game here. But Keanu Nakoa with that echo there, I loved seeing that echo on Grace. I think it just works so well. It's going to be, you've got a double divine intervention there. You've got the fountain. You've got the Termination Protocol and the reboot. They are such a durable team. Fnatic are really going to be struggling to burst them down. Oh no, Palmatoro.
Have no fear. Palmatoro is here. Palmatoro with his Ford Barrage. He's chilling. He knows Nettoilette is there to keep him alive. With an ally like Nettoilette, how could you have fear? Fnatic move forward. They know they want to be on the front side of this fight this time. They want to control the tempo of this fight. Broken is stacking up. Dark Potato trying his best to avoid this. He has his Aegis. He has pretty good shielding coming out currently, but they're just looking for a target. Infusions will be timing out off this alpha. Let's see if this causes them to actually make a play. It's either going to be they're going to lose a turret or they're going to make a play soon. Keanu jumps in with the benediction, war treads forward, doesn't catch Dark Potato, but Hundor thinks about going in. They're just, the positioning is really awkward on that. Keanu will heal up Dark Potato. Holding his Echo still is Fnatic. Just continue to throw chakrams in forward barrage. This is just, they should rename. They should just rename to chakrams and forward barrages.
I feel like I'm just seeing a replay of like the last 20 minutes again, just with this part.
This is like Groundhog Day, Vainglory
just
version.
Being replayed over and over again. They're just really waiting for that right moment, but I feel like that right moment is just always here for them.
Dude, you should play every game like it's Worlds. And right now, these European teams showing us, you know, how to really put your best foot forward. How to have your best game ever.
This could be it. Look at the items coming out. Technically JJ, so we're seeing a lot of itemization being built against him on the side of G2. Metal Jacket on Hundor, Pauldrons on Dark Potato, Pauldrons on Keanu there. And he just picked up a Bone Saw, so I think that's certainly going to be helping a lot against the insane amounts of armor that G2 has built up against him.
It definitely will be. It's curious though as this fight happens, I mean, because the way they itemize, like if Hundor doesn't go down and he gets some breaking point stacks, that is definitely G2's fight. But
oh yes,
you know, if Fnatic can get the damage down, dance around while keeping Hundor from finding his stacks, it definitely will go their way. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 1-1, 21 minutes into this game. Fnatic, G2 Esports, really showing us how to play cautiously here. Benediction in. Keanu, he's going to war track forward. He's going to look for the Holy Nova. Just oh no, he's not going to do it. Keanu! Keanu! Oh my god, when you want to make plays but your team is not ready, that is what just happened. And now G2 in a 2 vs 3 situation. They're going to try their best here. Dark Potato eating a bit of damage there. It's going to be a Sonic Zoom through the death from above. Dark Potato, get out, dude. Look at, he calculated that. He's like, I could use Termination Protocol, but I don't think I will have to. Reflex and move backwards. Dark Potato, what an alpha.
What an alpha, able to escape. But Keanu was not able to escape, and he wasn't able to use the Divine Intervention on himself either. The Fountain did come out. But they know that their Grace is one of the key players of that team. If they lose Grace there, you know, it leaves them in a very awkward position. Hundor, you know, they just had to back away. They gave up that turret there.
That was
and
so awkward.
Actually, the Kraken as well. So, I mean, looking at Fnatic with that Kraken, they're in a really good position to push with the chakrams and with the 4 barrages as well. Like, this is a great opportunity for them.
They need, like, G2, they just need to go. When Keanu goes, go with him. Let that Grace lead you to the promised land of victory. You can do it, G2. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in Keanu, the Dark Potato, and Hundor will follow. Let's go. There you go. Oh, Dark Potato. That's going to be a Termination Protocol coming out. And ladies and gentlemen, I bet he's immediately regretting that decision. Gauntlets down. Hundor is dancing around through the fight. Techno was the one that took a lot of damage, but he's going to get himself back out of here. Prime Directive connects. They move forward. What is this? Hundor, he's taking a lot of damage. He's to the back, but Dark Potato's still alive. He's still doing a pretty good job. Palmatoro's target locked on. Actually, no, he didn't have the target locked on. No, yeah, he does. The forward brush. He Surrey strikes over the top. Dark Potato still alive. He goes down. Dark Potato. They kept him alive for a pretty long time. Choke point turret's going to fall, and Fnatic just keep lumbering forward. Palmator with the forward barrage. Frostburn slowing them down. Broken to stacks galore. Once they do, they hang around. Do they play with fear? Do they play with passion and aggression and all the things the chat wants them to be? Death from above connects onto Keanu just for a split second. They probably take this one turret and back on out of there.
That's exactly what they're doing. I think we are all going to question Dark Potato's decision there to use this Termination Protocol right in full view of Palmatoro and his death from above, which, you know, it wasn't enough to kill him, but it certainly put G2 in a very precarious position, and I think it had to force them to change their playstyle there. But Fnatic, they got 1, 2, 3 turrets off the back of that, but yet they only maintain a 300 gold lead.
300 gold.
You'd think it would be more. You really would think it would be more at this point, but
it's
I mean,
a little bit more. 300, but it's not much. At this point,
They're
this game
playing so
is
cautiously.
very close. This is all execution. I feel like they're not taking advantage of the Grace fully, or the Potato. Let's see if they can do so here. Now in a choke point area. Prime Directive Vid is going to connect onto a couple broken misstacks. Potato. They need Potato to get a couple broken misstacks and be the front line for his team. That's what this composition is all about. Once Potato starts to take someone down to the point where they're threatened, Hundor can start the fight. You got to let Grace do work. Let Grace do work. Let Potato be a front line. Hundor's hungry. Prime Direct is not going to connect. That's not what you want. You're like, oh, I missed my ability. It's time to engage now. There's your Gauntlet. It's going to connect Dark Potatoes right into the mix. They got the Atlas Pauldron off onto the Alpha Palmatoro into the top. There's your Ford Barrage connecting. Very good job. Very good damage. 9 broken misstacks plus the infusion. They're moving forward. Everybody's infused. Everybody's infused. Everybody is using their ultimates and dancing around the fight, but nobody is dying.
Nobody is dying. Absolutely. I mean, 4 kills and it's almost 26 minutes, 25 and a half minutes there on this game. And you were saying, I think you were saying right before that kind of last attempt there coming from G2 was that you feel I feel is that they're not using that Grace to the full effect. And I'm gonna agree with you there. I really doesn't. I feel like she's such a great captain to have on your team. And yeah, she's been using the Divine Interventions amazingly, using the Echo as well. It's been working really well. But in using her other abilities, such as that Holy Nova and the Benediction, I feel like we've not been seeing too much of that. I feel like
we've seen none of that, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, you've got this potential stun there, and one way of looking at it is that, well, Palmator and Techno JJ, they're both very mobile heroes. It might be hard to land on them. Oh no, here they go!
Are they gonna throw?
No.
No, I mean, it feels a little throwish. You need Dark Potato. He's into the backside. Okay, he will get the heal. The Gauntlet comes down net. That's very uncharacteristic of you. Nice toilet. Hundor, fresh infusion. Keanu moves forward. There's your War Tread. G2, they're on the hunt. You don't want to get under that Crystal Sentry. Death from above. That would have been a very, very bad fight for G2. And they make the professional decision to back out of a situation that would have left them quite helpless.
Yeah, definitely. Then I think this has happened time and time again, is that they are just escaping. It's so close every single time and picking up those kills. But just now...
Jin, you may have muted your mic on purpose or not.
Maybe on purpose. I am having technical difficulties with my game at the moment.
Classic
Yes,
Shinyi.
I'm back.
You're back.
I'm
Let's
back.
see. Can G2 take this Kraken down? This is the pinnacle of aggression. This Fnatic move forward to contest here. Keanu on the front side gets that Holy Shield off. You see, Keanu is constantly in position for his team, but his team is failing to follow up. Okay, Divine Intervention is gonna come out. Potato's gonna get healed up. Echo still being held by Keanu. What a crazy situation here. Hundor has his Journey Boots. This is gonna be off cooldown every 12 seconds if he gets attacked. Dark Potato, gotta be careful. Palmatoro's there with the Ford Barrage, and nothing happens.
Yeah, they don't want.
the
The
end
thing
of
is, Fnatic don't want to chase too far into G2's jungle because they don't want to be fighting with the Crystal Sentry about. But looking at the teams, 200 gold between the two teams, items, infusions, they're all there. This is basically full build pack for all the teams now. And they're just...
Atlas Pauldron off onto
This is it.
Hundor. Dark Potato's in. Dark Potato starting to make the plays. He's melting down low. He's gonna have to get. He got the Termination Protocol off. Prime Directive in. Oh, he's not on his key target. Techno takes a lot of damage. Can they melt Potato before he reboots? I don't think he can. But the Crystal Sentry's there and doing good work. They've stunned up Keanu on the edge. The fountain's going to come out. Keanu probably drops here. Yep. Shimmer Strike forward. How about that? The attack slow has burned off of Techno. Techno trying to stand his ground with the Chakra, moving back. The Gauntlet. No, not the Gauntlet. Crucible keeping him alive just in the second. I can't believe it. Palmator with the Surge Strike go for the top. Hundor still alive. And he's going to be just playing like he's hopefully got Sonic Zoom talents to get himself out of here. Fnatic, they're not even going to try to chase that guy down. They have bigger things on the menu.
I mean, they're going home.
Yeah, like going
They're
home.
going home. They're going home. So the
I'm
Kraken...
going home.
They're going home. Hundor can't really do too much at this point. I mean, Fnatic, they're going to be going for the Kraken. Can Hundor safely contest this? No, he cannot.
Can he safely contest this? No, he cannot.
But he can.
Can he contest this?
Yes.
The God Hundor can do whatever he puts his mind to. The Scout Trap's not going to hold me back. Can't hold Hundor down. Hundor is waiting right here. He's waiting with the wait for it. Boom! Wait for it to the backside. Atlas Pauldron Gauntlet down. Hundor doesn't care. Hundor Sonic zooms around he will go down in the end. That's going to be the ace. Keanu respawns right at the end. Looks like Fnatic taking the win as G2 just collapse around themselves. Everything falling apart for G2 Esports.
I think the key point of my last sentence was safely contest there, and that didn't happen. So, I mean, Keanu, Nako, Dark Potato, I mean, this is probably the most durable sets of heroes alive, left and alive on the map, but they also have the Kraken coming at them. There's one turret left.
It's go time.
They
Now
have
it's
to
time
engage.
to play the game, G2. G2, would you like to make it to day 2? It's time to actually go out there and fight. Time to get on the squishy target. Death from above is going to whiff. Palmatoro is your boy. That's who you want to get onto. They're on to Tetno JJ. Holy Nova going to catch 2. The Atlas Pauldron on to 3. G2 doing the best they can thus far. A couple broken misstacks for Dark Potato. It's, dude, you got it. You got to do more damage out with this Keanu. He's going to drop the heal, keeping him alive. And this is going to be Fnatic taking the win. Ladies and gentlemen, 30 minutes and 30 seconds. We have Fnatic coming out as the victor, 6-1. What an amazing game.
It was absolutely an amazing game, and I have to say it was extremely cautious from both of the teams. I think we said that multiple times, but I do feel that the Grace lacked an impact, and I feel like Keanu just didn't seem as comfortable in the Grace as I've seen him on other heroes.
Yeah, man, I don't know if it was Keanu or a team thing, maybe communication, who knows. But that was a long game, and we'll go ahead and take a breather here, but we got some boys back at the desk ready to break this one down. So Munchables and the crew, what do you guys think?
Wow, 7 kills in 30 minutes. That was an incredibly passive game from both teams. Definitely, I think it's safe to say, a macro-focused game. Wouldn't you guys agree?
A little bit, just a little bit of a macro-focused game. I mean, that right there was the prototypical of when you think of a European-style game of Vainglory in previous seasons, in previous years. That's what